All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm sure we've got some folks who are filtering in now. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Lunch and Learn webinar. Oh my goodness, I'm seeing so many folks joining the call. We're going to get going in about 30 seconds just to give everyone a chance to log in. We really appreciate you spending your lunch hour with us. I'm really excited about this topic. Absolutely. And as we're all logging in, I'm going to take the time just to plug our Business Excellence Awards nominations. If you're a member of the Chamber community, you've probably already seen the notification that Business Excellence Award nominations are open right now. We really encourage you to make nominations for your clients, suppliers, friends, anyone you know who's doing a great job in Richmond. I'm seeing myself log in a second time here. All right. So in the interest of time, I'd like to say good afternoon to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Lunch and Learn webinar. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that the Richmond Chamber of Commerce operates on the traditional territory of the Musqueam First Nation. They have lived on this land for millennia, and we're very grateful that we can gather here today. And I'd like to acknowledge any of the traditional territories that you may be joining us from today. So before we get things going, we have some housekeeping items to go over. At a couple of points in today's webinar, we're going to be asking for your input. So polls are going to pop up on your screen for you to respond to. So please pay attention and you'll see me pop back on and prompt you to answer those poll questions. So as you see, you are on mute and your camera is not being used. We want you to be able to eat your lunch as you take in the content today, but we are encouraging your questions. So please submit those via the Q&A box in the bottom of your screen. So anytime a question pops into your head, please submit that. We're going to have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation today. We're going to end by 1 p.m. But before then, we're going to get to absolutely as many questions as we can. But if you run into any technical problems during today's presentation, please reach out to Simone and I via the chat function. So now that our housekeeping is out of the way, it's my pleasure to introduce our presenter, Simone Lee, President and CEO for the Better Business Bureau serving the Lower Mainland. Simone has been a leader at the BBB since joining the organization in 1999. She has been in her current role as President and CEO for over 4 years. The BBB's mission is to be the leader in advancing marketplace trust, and the Better Business Bureau has empowered people to find businesses, brands, and charities they can trust for over 110 years. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Simone.
Thank you, Shayna. It's my pleasure to be here today. I'm super excited to talk to you about this really important topic. I'd like to start by just presenting my screen so you can see it. Let's start there. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'd like to start with a little bit of a story. I'd like everyone to meet Bobby. One thing that you need to know about Bobby is that she loves what she does. She started her retail store in 2020 with the goal of helping people feel good about themselves through fashion and style. Her business was hit hard by COVID, so she quickly adapted to an online business with a storefront. Then, with the challenge of finding and keeping good people, paying back recovery loans, plus now with the rising rate of inflation, she had to stop looking locally to find designers for her store. She found a great company overseas that helps employ at-risk fashion designers who could supply great clothes at a lower cost. And good news, she just got a huge order from a local client, but lacks the cash flow to get those clothes. And sadly, with all those issues that she's been having, her credit has really suffered these past few years. So after being declined by traditional lenders, Bobby reached out through her social network and was referred to an online business that someone saw. The business website indicated that no one is declined and all credit is approved. She reaches out and she knows that she's going to probably have to pay a bit more for this short-term loan. Tom from the company quickly calls her and she is so impressed with his customer approach and demeanor. He asks her for some information, which makes sense because she's now filling out some credit applications. So she provides her social insurance number, she provides her address, she provides her credit card and driver's license and some photo ID. And that way he tells her he's going to shop around to find her the best solution. A day later, Tom calls her with some bad news. She's been rejected from most of their options, but he does have a solution for her. There's this newer vendor that they've just started working with. Unfortunately, with that vendor, they require a fee of $500 to help secure the loan, which then they will deduct from her first payment. And knowing that this is the only way she can make this big sale, she wires them the money. After a few days of not hearing back, she tries to contact Tom. The email bounces, the phone calls number is no longer in service, and we now know that Bobby has fallen prey to an advance fee loan scam. And unfortunately, not only is she out the $500 she wired, but she's also now at future risk of identity theft. Now, this story is fictional, but it is a very close example of a scam that targets both consumers and businesses. And it made our top 10 riskiest scams that we issued in March of 2024. What number? Well, you're gonna have to wait to find out. So I do want to share a little bit about the Better Business Bureau. And then I'm gonna highlight the top 3 of our 10 riskiest scams. And then of course, I'm gonna share some resources with you and then hopefully assign you some homework so that the learning can continue. So this is a lovely glamour shot of our Better Business Bureau office downtown. Hopefully you can come and visit us. We're on the 5th floor at Melville and Butte. We are a not-for-profit organization. We have a very long history. We've been around, as Sheena said, since 1912. So over 112 years, and locally in this market since 1939. There are over 100 BBB offices. And each of us are actually independently operated with our own board of directors. We have our own service area, and my focus is really mainland British Columbia and the Yukon Territory. One of the things that is new for us is that we created a BBB engagement center it's been a bit more since September of 2022 with the vision of bringing businesses together. So we know that our accredited businesses who might need a space to work can stop by and use a desk, or if a business is looking for a place to host an event or have a professional meeting, we have a great facility available. Really, this is a building block to build our trusted community. So what does the Better Business Bureau do? Well, one of the core services that we provide is that people come to us for information on businesses. We call that that type of information, a business profile. We get about 2.4 million inquiries, and that's just locally each year. We provide accreditation. So accreditation is for businesses that believe in our mission and meet our 8 standards of trust. And if those are the 2 things, if we're aligned, then you can become BBB accredited and be able to use that BBB seal. For a consumer who's looking for a trusted business, they can go onto our website and request a quote or get a quote from an accredited business or 3 accredited businesses, which is a great feature of our website. It can really help a consumer save on their screening time. My husband, he's a building manager, and he often uses it for his purpose to find new vendors. So it's not just something that can be used by consumers, but it also can be used by businesses who are looking for multiple sources. And then we have 2 different ways that a consumer can share feedback with the BBB. We have customer reviews, so people that are looking to share a positive interaction or something that maybe that really just feedback, they can provide us a customer review. Or if you're seeking a resolution, then you can file a complaint through the BBB, and our role is to try to help you and this business re-engage so we can help them come to a resolution. We call that a complaint, and then if we can't resolve it through our complaint process, we do offer mediation and arbitration. In either of those services, fundamentally, we believe that before anything shows up on a BBB business profile, a business needs to have an opportunity to respond. So that's part of what we do. And then we also have this great interactive tool to help educate consumers and businesses about scams and where they're happening, called Scam Tracker. We'll talk a little bit more about Scam Tracker in a bit. And then finally, as part of our mission, we provide public education programs and resources to help consumers navigate their life choices. Scam education, like what we're going through right now, is one of our focuses. As a business, I would encourage you that if you don't have one, you come to the BBB and get listed. It's free, and of the 2.4 million times that someone came to our website, only about 66% of the time the consumer was looking for information on a business that is not accredited by the BBB. So getting a BBB business profile is a really quick and easy way to help your customers show your background in a very objective way through a third-party trusted source. And then I should share that all of our services are funded by our BBB accredited business community. We have over 4,000 of them. As I said, accredited businesses make a commitment to our 8 standards of trust, and they're monitored. This includes a commitment to advertise honestly, be responsive to issues. They've demonstrated themselves to be trustworthy, and they embody integrity in all of their business dealings. Consumers know this, and so when all things are equal, 8 out of 10 times, consumers will look for that sign of a better business, and they'll pick that accredited business. I'm very pleased to say that the Richmond Chamber has been BBB accredited for almost 35 years, so that's pretty incredible. So now we're ready to do a little bit of a poll. And the question here is, have you ever been scammed? Ready for that poll?
Sorry, we're ready for the poll. You should all see it popping up on your screen now. And I see a lot of you have already submitted your answer. That is wonderful. We're going to keep it up for about the next 15 seconds. So if you haven't had a chance to pop in your answer yet, and we don't know how you're answering, so it is anonymous.
Well, while you are collecting results, I will share with you a story that's happened here at the Better Business Bureau. And again, this is going to highlight another scam that is on our riskiest report. In this situation, we use accounting software, and we were having a problem with our accounting software. There was some update that had gone on, and now our accounting software wasn't talking with our payroll software. So a member of my team, well-intentioned, went to Google to find the contact information to reach out to get some help. She got a phone number, she called them, and they said to her, it sounds like your file's been corrupted. You need to download this link and you need to pay this fee to help so that we can fix this. She went to me to get payment approval. I said to her, hold on, why are we paying for something that should be covered by our vendor? And we did some more research, and lo and behold, found out that it was not the right company, but it was actually a tech support scam. So it can happen to anyone. And in our situation, we were lucky because we just did a little bit more research.
That's a really great story. Now I'm sharing the results now. You should all see it pop up on your screen.
This is great. These are great results. I mean, 63% of our people on this call today have been scammed. So again, you can see that, you know, so many people have been a victim of this type of situation. So we really, really encourage, like, there is a scam out there for anyone. Okay, let's pull that poll down. Perfect. So looking at this list, here we go. We've got our top 10 riskiest scams. Earlier, Bobby had fallen prey to advanced fee loans, which we list at number 4. But before I dive into the details of our top 10 riskiest scam report, I do think it's important that we share how we create this report. Every March, we come out with a new list based on reports to our Scam Tracker tool. But this report is not based just on a number of reports. We use something called the BBB Risk Index. If we just looked at volume of scams, then we'd be missing the bigger picture of what scams have the largest effect on marketplace trust in people's wallet. So what we do look at is a formula that looks at how often someone is targeted by a particular scam, when targeted, the odds of losing money, and then the median monetary loss when you do fall prey to a scam. So then that takes us back to our top 10 riskiest scams. On the top of the list, we have investment in cryptocurrency scams. And so you can see here that while the number of reports was low, especially compared to some of the other scams, when exposed, 82, almost 83% of people lost money to this type of scam. And the median loss was very high at almost $10,000. Let's compare that, say, with online purchase scams. One out of every 3 scams that are reported to the BEB is an online purchase scam. Also very susceptible, 83% of people who were impacted by an online purchase scam lost money, but the median loss was much smaller, like $100. And then we can compare that with something like what we would call like a high volume, less touch point scam, where we're talking about something like phishing or social engineering. In this situation, you can see that the risk index is lower, and we have more reports, less susceptibility, and a high median loss of $800. So looking at number 1, investment in cryptocurrency scams, one of the things I'd highlight is this year, we merged together investment and cryptocurrency together. And we did that because most of our cryptocurrency scams had a component of investment in it. So what is an investment scam? Imagine walking down the street and someone comes up with an offer that sounds too good to be true. They might say something like, hey, invest $100 now and you'll make $1,000 in just a week. Doesn't that sound great? Doesn't that sound amazing? But here's the catch. It's probably a scam. And I bet if someone approached you down the street, you'd be very unlikely to give them $100. But let's take that back to real life. Investment scams are basically tricks designed to trick people into giving away their money. They promise big profits with little or no risk, but in reality, they're just trying to rip you off. They are investment scams disguised as investment opportunities. There are a few types of investment scams. One that often people have heard of is called a Ponzi scam, or other people have heard of a pyramid scam. Often these work by using money from new investors to pay returns to earlier investors, making it seem like you're making money, especially at the start. But eventually the whole thing collapses and a lot of people lose their cash. Now, what is cryptocurrency? The cryptocurrency is pretty complicated. It is a virtual currency powered by computer code. It's not a dollar. It's not like a dollar, a pound, or a euro because it's not backed by a government agency. It doesn't have a physical form. And there are many types of cryptocurrency that a lot of people talk about, like you may be familiar with names like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ripple. And as I said, it can be super complicated. And lots of people think it's time to buy it or invest in cryptocurrency because we've seen the value of the worth go up in the stock market. So they hear it's really valuable and you can make lots of money on it. Some folks also distrust traditional banks or financial institutions or the government, and they want an alternative way to pay for goods or services. So there's a lot of hype for new technology, which provides a huge opportunity for scams. Because when you're looking at things like new ideas and technologies, that not knowing what you're doing and being comfortable with risk may mean that you're not going to ask any questions and get taken advantage of. Often with cryptocurrency scams, they involve fraudulent exchanges, fake dealers, wallets that aren't really secure, or assets that aren't real. And once the transaction has occurred, it cannot be reversed. So I'm going to share with you an example of a scam that and a report that we got. And really appreciate Donna for stepping forward for us because we know that sometimes people who have been taken advantage of by a scam artist not always want to come and talk about their experience. So Donna said, he, the salesperson, only left me alone once he took every penny from my credit card and my checking account. Then his partner phoned me to say that the market crashed and I lost all my money. I knew that this was not true and the whole thing was a scam and that they got what they wanted from me. There was no one to phone as they used burner phones, and I wrote, but they never responded. In this situation, Donna says she responded to an online ad that promised high-level growth for a small investment of only $250. The cryptocurrency had claimed to be related to Elon Musk, and She was quickly contacted by a salesperson who then worked with her over several days to confirm her private information. She was transferred to a trader who would help her make money through ShakePay, a Canadian mobile crypto trading platform app used to buy and sell Bitcoin. Donna, who's from Burnaby, claims that she was yelled at and basically was told that if she didn't invest large sums of money, she would miss out on an opportunity to make money in the market. Sadly, she's still paying this money back. So, what are some things to keep in mind when you're thinking of investment, things to keep in mind of things to be wary of? So first of all, we want you to be wary of celebrity endorsements, especially can be tempting to rely on a prominent figure who has invested in cryptocurrency or an investment opportunity. But these endorsements are often not even authorized. I mean, now with AI and deep fakes, they can look pretty convincing. Or the celebrity might have been paid for their effort. And then, of course, be wary of friends who reach out to you on social media to tell you how they've made money. Accounts are often being hacked or compromised. So if you do get a friend who is reaching out to you, call and confirm that they did make that reach out to you. And then, of course, still do your own research. Friends may be more comfortable with higher level of risk than you are, or they may be an early adopter of something that isn't legitimate. And they may be making money and may think, oh, this is great. But eventually, when everything falls, you'll both be out of pocket. And then, of course, do not believe the promise of guaranteed returns. If you're being told that they can guarantee the outcome, there's something wrong right there. And then lastly, of course, do research on the dealer you're using. If they're selling a security, you should check to see if they're properly regulated with the BC Securities Commission. So number 2 on our list was employment scams. So often these are the kind of jobs that are advertised as requiring little or no experience. It may be a gig job like reshipment of packages, being a secret shopper, part-time data entry, but they can trick anyone who doesn't do their research on a company and know what to look for. So let's have another little poll, see how much money is lost to employment scams across Canada and the United States. What do you think?
All right, you should all see this next little quiz poll pop up on your screen now. We're going to ask you to pop in your answer again. And I'd just like to remind everyone too that you can use the Q&A function at any time if you've got a question that comes up, and we're very happy to answer them at the end of the session. All right, lots of great answers. I'm going to end it now because I think we've got almost every response in.
Excellent. Let's see what people think. Oh, wow. So 76% of people think it was $100 million, 6% 1 million, and 18% 2 billion. Well, the majority of you were incorrect. $2 billion based on 3 sources of data: Scam Tracker, a Google survey, and stats from the World Bank. Can you believe that? BB estimates that 14 million people in the US and Canada are just exposed to employment scams each year. So big amount of money lost every year to employment scams. So here's another example of someone who lost money to an employment scam, and kind of highlights the story that you might hear in this type of situation. So after being hired, the student was told to buy expensive equipment to work from home. They were provided an employment contract and asked for personal documents, government issued ID, proof of address, bank statements, and banking information for payroll. The student then received equipment purchase invoices that were billed to them for a total cost of $6,481, with the fake employer promising to reimburse the student by check. After several attempts at depositing the fake check at a bank, the student found the real company, contacted them, and found out that the job was not real. Sadly, the student has not been able to recoup their costs. So really sad situation about someone who lost money thinking that they were starting a new job, feeling very excited about a new job, wanting to impress their employer, and then ending up being out of pocket. So where did you see this job? This is a question that we asked people who reported a scam. And what we saw was 32% of respondents said that the employment scam was found on Indeed, followed by about 7% on LinkedIn and 6% on Facebook. In many cases, the person said that they didn't even check to see if the job was really advertised or live on the job board, but trusted that the email or text they received was real. And most people who reported employment scams said that they continued to engage with the scammer because it sounded legitimate. We then asked the people who engaged with the scam why they continued to talk. And the top 3 reasons were they seemed official, I was under time pressure, and I thought the person was nice. As a business owner, think about how you can use this information to protect your reputation and potential employees. Post your website. If you are posting on a third party, don't ask for personal information until you've hired someone. Do the interview in person and take the time to vet this person who's going to become an important face for your organization. And as for a prospective employee, make sure you have an interview. Be very wary. There are some scams where they don't do an interview, or they do a virtual interview. So it's really important in those types of situations that you present yourself as being a little bit more suspicious. Do your own research. If they do offer you a job, that's where you might want to start doing way more digging. If they're asking you for any upfront fees before securing the job, that is a big red flag. You should just pretty much walk away. If they're asking to pay for job supplies, application or training fees, if they're asking you to pay really anything, in BC, it's illegal to ask for any fee before offering you any sort of a job. Even if they send you payment in the form of a check in advance, often we see those as overpayment scams and they end up leaving someone out of pocket. So we would just say, walk away. There's other companies out there who are great that you can find. Number 3 on our list, home improvement scams. Consumers have lost thousands of dollars to contractor scams. Now, what we're talking about here is not your legitimate business who's doing a home improvement job and maybe something happens during the home improvement work that's being done that isn't great. Business comes back and tries to fix it. Companies still, consumers still maybe not very happy, and then they come to the BEB for help. What we're talking about here are more like fly-by-night businesses who are using high-pressure sales tactics, who are demanding upfront fees. They often find very good reasons for consumers to pay earlier, and then either deliver shoddy work or no work at all. And they can make their offers even more attractive by offering a really good low price, as long as you do it now. They often will be working in the area. They might have fake social media sites or websites, and your neighbor might already be using them. Unfortunately, once started, a shoddy contractor may also find additional issues that are going to significantly raise your price. Inflation has hit it hard, so you need to pay another $500 for materials. And then if you object, they say that they're going to walk away and leave a half-finished project. And then another situation often is where they do the same thing through an online advertisement that offers a great deal, or sadly, after a devastating fire or a storm, we often see storm chasers coming into an area and targeting people with home improvement scams, especially when great companies might be of limited supply. So here's an example. Thank you, Noreen, for sharing your experience. The contractor insisted on an e-transfer upfront for materials, then again to pay his guys in cash and the remaining balance before he was finished. Every day there was a different excuse. Phone fell in the pool, had to drive someone to the airport, wasn't feeling well, on and on. It has now been a month, more than a month, calling, messaging, and he just won't respond to us or 2 neighbors who were also sucked in. In this situation, Noreen got a knock on the door by a man who was repairing a neighbor's roof. He claimed to be an expert on the type of roof that she had and gave her a very affordable quote that surprised her. She's now spoken with neighbors who've had very similar experiences to hers, and even though they've all collectively given deposits, the work address he provided was an empty lot. And while she shared she could have done a bit more research or any research on him before agreeing to anything, she and her neighbors have not received any of their money back and are left with a half-done roof. So what are some things to watch out for in a home improvement scam? So first of all, if someone says to you, if you pay cash, I'll give you a special rate. Or they offer you a limited time offering. They don't want a written contract. We're just gonna, a handshake's enough. We don't need to do anything else. Let's just get it going right now. Say no, walk away. We want you to research the company first. Take the time to understand who you're dealing with. Look for the sign of a better business. Or if they're not BAB accredited, still come to BAB.org and see what information we've had. What's their background like? How long have they been operating? That's a really great place for you to find out information. Ask for references. I mean, it's really important for you to see the type of work that they can do and go check them out. Go to that person's place and see if it is an exterior job, what that work looks like. And then probably for any type of interaction, always have a contract. Even when you're dealing with a legitimate contractor, when it's something really important, if it's written in the contract, it helps avoid problems down the road. That's going to protect you. It's going to protect that great business as well. Now, I know that on the call, we also have a lot of businesses here. So I thought I would also just assign to you some additional reading on where you can find the top 10 scams targeting businesses. Here's a list of our top 10. And if you go to our website at bb.org/all/business-scams, if one of these is catching your attention, like what is that? If you click onto the website, move this out of the way, you'll be able to read out a lot more on these top 10 business scams. And more importantly, you'll be able to see how to avoid falling prey to some of these scams. There are some other great resources as well. We have something called a scam prevention risk calculator. So if you go to this website, what you'll find is you're able to come in, and I'm just gonna share with you all that I am between this age range, non-military, Canadian, and female. And the riskiest scams for my group based on just that data are advanced fee loan scams, identity theft scams, and online purchase scams. So I can go into this great tool, learn a bit more about those types of scams, and of course, avoid being a victim. There's also a really great way that you can go in there and take tests, and those tests can show you how savvy you are in being able to see a scam already. And then of course, if you see a scam, we really want you to report it. You can report it through the BAB.org scam tracker, or you can report it to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre. We know last year 1.6 million people visited Scam Tracker. They reported 46,000 scams across North America. And as a result of the studies, we know how that this tool has really helped people avoid being defrauded. So, if you are someone who has been impacted, don't be silent, report it. You're helping to protect other people. All right, so I'm now going to open the floor to questions.
Thank you so much, Simone. Oh my gosh, there was so much good information there. I was writing down a few questions as we went. And I'd just like to encourage everybody on the call to, if you have any questions for Simone, please pop them into that Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Simone, you mentioned during your presentation a tool folks could use. I think it was the BC Securities Commission to research any investments that they were being pitched. Can you share with us a little bit more about that?
Not so much about the investments themselves, but we would encourage you to deal, if you are looking at any type of a securities, to deal with someone who is properly licensed and regulated. And so you can go to the BC Securities Commission and confirm that who you're dealing with is properly licensed. And that's going to give you some assurance that they're doing the right thing. The securities themselves, they do need to be registered. Some of them do, and some of them are exempt, but it can be very complicated. And again, working with someone who can help you navigate that's important.
That makes such a big difference. Thank you. We've got a good question from an anonymous attendee. They say, regarding employee scams, when we receive an interview request from a headhunting company, it can be challenging to verify if the job is legitimate. Scammers may even conduct virtual interviews, making everything appear authentic, while their real intent is to steal personal information. How can we prevent this from happening?
It's a really good question, and it really does highlight that scam artists are really good at what they do. I've heard some really terrible horror stories, and so I'd start by, you do research on the business who's contacted you. So if they're telling you that they're a headhunter, make sure that the headhunting firm is legitimate, and ask some more questions about who they're hunting on behalf of. The other side of it is that you don't have to give them any personal information. You don't need to give them your social insurance number. You don't need to give them your address. You don't need to give them anything that can be used for identity theft. What you can do is give them a basic understanding of your background. And then if they do want to, interview you, then you're going to want more information from them as well. And that can include calling the business that is headhunting and confirming that this is a legitimate posting.
Great advice. Thank you so much. Now, with the advent of artificial intelligence and consumer-based artificial intelligence, we've seen some real advancements in the capacity for scammers to impersonate someone at a business. Even you and I being on this webinar today, somebody could easily replicate our voices and use it to call one of our staff asking for a payment. Do you have any recommendations for business owners to kind of safeguard themselves against this kind of AI scamming?
That's a really good question. I know I read a story in the newspaper about a company in Hong Kong who ended up, as a result of a business email compromise scam, ended up sending a huge amount of money. And part of it was because he had received authorization to send it through a artificially generated image of his boss. So he really did think that he had been directed to send money. So I would say a couple of things. If you are reaching out, if someone is reaching out to you virtually, you need to have a second way of authenticating that the request is legitimate. I would say, especially if it's involving, money or information. So picking up the phone and calling them at a verified phone number, that would be a really good start. But never ever provide money or information just alone on, an email or some sort of phone call or something virtual.
That makes so much sense. And yeah, it's really tough when you see someone who looks like your boss or somebody with authorization authority in your company, to have that moment where you stop and think too. So it can really happen to anyone. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions come in. Just a reminder, anyone on the call, if you have a question, please pop it in. Simone would love to answer them. I was really surprised by the scope of expense for business scams in North America when you shared that the result of that quiz question. That's a shocking amount of money. One thing that I've heard from our members sometimes is that they're a little bit wary of even reaching out to the RCMP after something might have happened or an attempt was made, because they worry that nothing's really going to get done, or because folks are often based offshore, their capacity to help is kind of limited. When that does happen to a business, when they have been maybe the victim of a scam or an attempted fraud, how can we help businesses understand that this might, yes, be worth the time?
We don't understand the true scale of the issue. It's really hard for law enforcement to dedicate resources because something else is going to come up. And we know that sometimes white collar crime is seen as less damaging than other sorts of more physical crime. But I mean, when you think about some of the emotional impacts of these kinds of crime, it's really important. You lose faith. A lot of times with businesses, there's a risk to reputation. If your business name is being used in an employment scam and you don't even know about it, And other people start commenting or communicating about this experience that they had with this horrible company, now you're being impacted. So you almost want to do everything you possibly can to make sure the right people know about it. That protects you, and it also protects other people down the road from a resource standpoint.
That is really, really good advice. I'm going to share with everyone on the call a book that I read last year that I'd really recommend. It's called Easy Money, Cryptocurrency, Casino Capitalism, and the Golden Age of Fraud by Ben McKenzie. I really, it kind of blew my mind, the extent of some of these crypto scams that are happening on very large scales. So I recommend that book. I'm not seeing any other questions come in, so we may be giving you a little bit of time back in your day. Simone, did you have any final thoughts you wanted to share with our guests today?
I would just, once again, I'd encourage that if you are presented with something that is, it's, your gut is telling you something's wrong, or you're feeling a lot of emotional pressure to do something right now, just what you were saying 5 minutes ago, Shana, was stop and think, talk to someone else, because we know that in the situations where someone hasn't fallen prey to a scam, just that stopping, listening, and talking to someone else, just those three things can help you not be a victim. And then we would encourage you to report it. Please report it to us. Please report it to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center. We're here for a reason.
Really, really good advice. Thank you so, so much for your time today, Simone. And thank you to all of you who have been on the call with us. I really hope everybody has learned something today. And I know we have some takeaways with our homework. I know I'm going to be doing the fraud awareness test on bbb.org. Before we part for the day, I have a few reminders for all of you on the call about the Chamber's other upcoming events. On August 19th, next Monday, we're doing our next 5 at 5 Ready, Set, Network. This is a 5K run or walk and network event where we end at a pub. We'd love to see you there. The next day, August 20th, we have our annual summer barbecue back for the first time since 2019. We're going to be really excited to do some networking, have a lot of fun in the sun to celebrate the end of summer on Tuesday. And Wednesday, August 28th, one of our members' favorite events, our Business After 5, is back at Auto West BMW. They're partnering with Hello Nori for some of their delicious hand-rolled sushi and to show off their beautiful space in Richmond. Again, that's free and open to members. Tuesday, September 10th, we have our Strictly Networking Dim Sum at Fortune Terrace Chinese Cuisine. And Saturday, September 14th, the last event I'm going to plug for you is our Shoreline Cleanup. We have 2 locations on Richmond's shorelines, and after the Chilcolton slide, I think there's going to be a lot of stuff to clean up. We are partnering with Platinum Pro Claim Restoration and 505 Junk for that. It's a lot of fun. And I think that is my spiel. Thank you everyone for your time today. And thank you again to Simone for her time. This has been a fantastic presentation and we're very grateful.